Greetings, everyone. I'm Luke Bryan Smith, and welcome to Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved. Hope everybody's doing well. Wait, I believe everybody's doing well. I have faith everybody's doing well, and everything is unfolding perfectly. I am excited yet again because you already know what I'm going to say. I just enjoy speaking with amazing, extraordinary people. And today is another day that I'm engaging in that again. So today I have Alyssa Cohen. And before she tells you anything, I'm going to share a bit about her. So listen up. You don't want to miss any of this. So, Alyssa Cohen has been healing herself and others for over 25 years through a combination of homeopathy, somatic healing, and meditation. When speaking about her clients who overcame anxiety, depression, migraines, how do you pronounce that? Endocrine,
yeah.
Endocrine disorders, neurology disorders, trauma, and many other health challenges, Alyssa says that so much of the change that's needed to profoundly heal happens within our inner work. Wow, I believe that. I resonate with that totally. In our minds, in our way of being. Alyssa created a program called the Life Transformation Intensive to teach people how to heal. Her passion for leading others comes from her own 10-year struggle with chronic pain and her transformation from being in a wheelchair, wow, to hiking in Nepal. Alyssa teaches people suffering from chronic struggles, pain, and trauma, a body-based method of healing from within. Awesome. Now, Alyssa has even more to say. And when I post this video, I'm going to put that longer bio because it's just, this doesn't explain everything, all of her passions and gifts and interests and everything. But before I continue to talk, how are you doing, Alyssa? How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Yes, I am so thankful that you are here. And I have to tell you, I'm led to tell you that I'm a firm believer that time is one of our most precious assets. And for you to spend some of your time here with me, I'm just so humbled and full of gratitude for you doing so.
Well, thanks for having me. I was enjoying our chat before we started this podcast, and I'm excited to keep chatting with you.
Yes, for those of you that are listening and watching, Alyssa and I were engaged in a beautiful conversation, a dialogue, and I just had to kind of like stop it, because I didn't want to miss that energy. I wanted some of that energy to be infused in this so that everyone could watch. But Alyssa, just from reading that, I want to know what happened, if you don't mind telling me, that led to you being in a wheelchair, and how did you get out of that wheelchair? And just tell us a story and how it led to you empowering others and healing others. So exciting.
Okay, it's a big story, so I try and just snippets of it.
Plenty of time.
All right. Well, I was quite unwell for most of my teenage years.
Right.
And at that time, it was a different landscape. You went to doctors. I guess there were therapists, but it wasn't as, at least in the social circle that I grew up in, it wasn't really socially something people did. I had no friends going to therapists or healers. Alternative medicine was still relatively rogue. This is already 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago. And so the help that I got wasn't very helpful. And my parents took me from doctor to doctor, but I never really got any better. then there was so I was pretty limited. I couldn't walk that much, couldn't go up and down stairs easily, and no one really knew why. And
That's what I was going to ask you. And excuse me, no need to be rude, but that's what I was going to ask. Was there a name for what you had? But you just answered that question, because that's exactly what was going through my mind. Go ahead, Alyssa.
at that time, there wasn't a name. And, later there were some names tossed about, but actually I came to see that naming it was a hindrance, not a help. What really happened to me that, led to the wheelchair was there was a big trauma in my family when I was 20. I have two younger brothers, and the one right younger than me was in a very serious car accident when I was 20. And it just destroyed me, is really what happened. And all of us. And when I look back, like, I didn't have the emotional intelligence. What I was really having was a nervous breakdown, but 8 months after his accident. But I didn't have that emotional intelligence at the time. And so I just suppressed all the grief into my body. And eventually, I just literally couldn't stand. And, anyone who's dealt with intense grief, this is intense material. And if you don't, I wasn't really crying. I was just working. I was at business school at the time, and I was all in my head. And I just was at the hospital or working, and I didn't do much else.
Right.
And eventually, my body crashed so hard. And in hindsight, it makes sense. And this is really part of my current philosophy, is that when we really look at why anyone is dealing with anything in the mind or the body, if you look deeply enough into their life and the load that they're carrying, there's always a way to make sense of it. Sometimes it takes a lot of digging, and it's lots of layers on top of one another. But at that time, through the medical lens, it didn't make sense what was happening to me. But what I understand about how emotions work and how suppressed emotions work, it makes perfect sense. I simply couldn't stand up anymore.
Wow.
And I experienced it as excruciating pain, but it was excruciating. It just was, it was emotional pain that was being carried in my legs.
If we can take a pause real quick, and I just have to say this. I've been reading a book, and it's by an author by the name of Orson Swett Martin. And he was an author, what they called a New Thought law of attraction author in the early 1900s. And I was just reading literally a chapter in regards to our mind, our thoughts and our feelings creating illnesses in our bodies. And here you are, you're giving me chills explaining that very same thing. And like I said prior to this segment, it's no coincidence. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Alyssa. I apologize. I just had to say that because everything just aligns. It's just amazing.
That particular comment can be very hard for people who are in any kind of pain, even if they may use emotions.
Yes.
At the time, some of the doctors I went to implied like there's nothing wrong with your body, but what they didn't understand is they didn't inquire into my life. So we have to say that it's never the person's fault, even if their thinking is negative, and even if they can't process their emotions and it lands up in some sort of dis-ease of one kind or another, that we have to operate under the basis that everybody's doing the best they can with what they know.
Yes.
So
I like to say, if I might interject, we are all doing the best we can from our current level of consciousness.
Yes. And illness propels people to grow their consciousness, because there's what growing consciousness. We have to be more aware. And so if I look back, that was the beginning of my journey in consciousness, because I was so unaware and I could not feel, what was really going on. And, part of how I healed, you asked me, how did I heal? Part
Yes.
of that journey was, someone told me, actually, I was seeing a psychiatrist at the time, because that was the only doctor really that would see me. And I was actually pretty lucky because she wasn't a typical psychiatrist. She was a therapist, which a lot of psychiatrists are not. But she really was also a therapist. And she said to me, I think you should try yoga. So this is like 1990, I don't know, maybe 1993. So there's not a lot of yoga going on in Toronto in 1993. And I end up at this woman's house. She's doing yoga in her basement. At the time, I couldn't even go down the stairs. I was like bumming my way down the stairs to get to this
Wow.
woman's. And I asked her, what is yoga? And she, that I had no idea. Like, what is yoga? And I went there and I couldn't do anything that she said to do. Like, I literally couldn't. I just lay on my mat. But what she did was begin to teach me how to exhale, which I literally had stopped doing, in all of that time, sort of crazy.
How to breathe, basically breathe.
Well, I was terrified. So I was kind of like this all the time, obviously breathing enough to live, but not enough to actually live well. And she started to teach me how to feel safe in my body, just on that purple yoga mat.
Wow.
And it really touched something in me. I had no idea how or why, but I just kept going. And within a relatively short time, things really started to shift because I started to practice feeling safe in my body, which really had been in a war zone for a long time.
Right.
And like any kind of spiritual practice, which it was, if you practice being in a different state, it will start to translate into your other times of your day.
Right.
So the little opening started to come in my world, which had been very, very tight and small. In that opening, I started to think of new possibilities. I came across this book. This one book changed the whole course of my life. I'll tell you. I give so much credit to this one. And I read lots of things, but the thing that made the biggest impact on me at that time.
See, you saw me leading forward because I'm a voracious reader. So, when you're about to mention a book, what the way I take it is, this is something for me.
I mean, this is an old book, but it's still a classic. It's Love, Medicine, and Miracles by Bernie Siegel.
Siegel?
He's a medical doctor who was working with cancer patients.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't know how this book came to me. It's not something, this is pre-internet. I don't know how I got my hands on this book. But I did. And I started reading this book, and I was very analytical and skeptical at that time. And I had been in pain a long time. And I was reading this book, and he's talking all about these people who are healing from, some of them, stage 4 cancer. And I'm reading this, and I was like, this guy is full of it. Like, I did not believe anything he was saying.
Right.
75% of the way through the book, just kind of sit back and thought, like, there was so much depth to the stories, and this would be a lot for someone to make up.
Yes.
And I don't know. It's like there was just a moment where I decided, if people can heal from cancer, then even though I don't know what's wrong with me, I can heal too.
Right. Right.
It's such a pivotal time because I made the choice to have faith that I would heal without any evidence, without any reason to believe. I didn't know the how. I just decided, this is going to happen. I'm going to heal. And it was the start of my faith. It really was. That moment was the start of me having faith in, well, just period. It was the beginning of me having faith.
Right. And obviously, it worked. Just to put it quite frankly, it worked because you're here today.
It wasn't an easy path.
Absolutely. I'm not. Yes.
It was lots of practitioners, lots of trial and error, lots and lots and lots of effort. But the difference is, when you open that window to believe something's possible, that gives you the opportunity to persevere, but also to be open,
Right.
to possibilities that if you don't believe it's possible, then you don't even see them, you don't hear them, you don't even consider.
Right. And that's the key. I have to add that in there. That's the key. Being open. Otherwise you won't even see, you won't come out of that quote unquote box, and you'll keep yourself where you are. So I commend you, and I think that's so amazing that in your what you were going through, instead of just self-destructing, you opened up, and
Well,
that's amazing.
I did self-destruct for quite a while,
For quite a while, but you eventually you eventually opened up somehow,
Yeah, I did.
Yes, eventually. Yes. So what I want to know, so after this long process, you actually healed basically yourself. I mean, with help, but everything that was meant to come into your experience came. And that's beautiful. And what I would like to add, like I've added to similar dialogues, is this: it never gets old that people go through these difficult adversities, and it awakens. At that point, there's a choice, to take this path or that path, either fall deeper into self, like you said, destruction, or evolve and grow. And what I find is that most of the people that I talk to, if not all, that have come to a present moment of just helping people, and just where they are now, reaching their higher selves, they all started by going through something that was really difficult, either mentally and or physically. And then now, and they're where they are now. And it's like, what is so amazing to me is that you have to say, it's not like I wish that on them, that they had to go through that, but they had to go through that to get to where they are now. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. I've studied a lot in school. I keep going
Right.
back to study. But what I know about healing is the most that I know is actually through my own experience, more so than anything you can learn in school.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yes.
When you've been there, and then you can relate to people. You can empathize in a way that they can't teach you that in school.
And more passionate about what you do. And I believe, and this is not to shift the onto myself, but that's earlier. Alyssa asked me, why do I do this? And that's why I'm so passionate about it. It's not because I just saw something that I thought was cool or trying to mimic anyone else, but I had been through, something in my life, and thankfully not as trying as what you've been through, especially physically, but more on a mental level, that I was able to overcome. And through that, through that adversity, able to be who I am today and connecting with the people I connect with now. That's why I'm so excited, and I have so much positive energy and smiling in regards to this, because there was a time that it wasn't ever really a smile on my face. So now it's like, it's just a testimony every time I speak with someone new, and share these experiences and thoughts and stories, and listen and learn, that I'm following my passion and doing the right thing, and it's just beautiful. And that's why you see me smiling a lot. It's not like I'm trying to do it
No, you're just doing it.
for the show. Yeah, I'm not doing this to, oh, he's doing that to make the show look different, better. No, I'm doing it because I really am excited. You know, I'm excited when I hear people, extraordinary people like yourself that have been through so much adversity and hard times. And now look at you. And it's like, wow, it's that right there just inspires me so much. It really does.
Yeah, it is inspiring when you look back, at where we were, and then when you've been through adversity, it makes gratitude.
Right. I start and end my day with gratitude, and in the middle of the day too, when I'm just sitting there and I'll just start saying thank you about things. So, and it's beautiful. So I want to ask you. So through this, okay, you healed yourself, and it's so beautiful. So how did that transcend to you helping other people, and how does that work out? Let's
disagree.
Yes.
And yet I have a job, but I don't really do that job.
Right.
So I decided against all reason to quit the job and go be the manager at a yoga studio in Toronto.
Wow.
And, I was a bit overqualified for that job, but I got to take yoga classes all the time. And so I did that for about a year. And then I decided, this is where my heart is. And I decided I would go to India. Actually,
India?
I went to India. I decided if yoga comes from India, I want to go. And actually, no, before that, I did my yoga teacher training in the United States at the Capella Center in Lenox, Massachusetts. And I lived there for some time. And I fell in love with yoga and meditation and the whole path. It was everything I was missing. And so then I decided, okay, I was 23 and finally, I decided I'm going to go to India. And
you know what? Excuse me again, but you keep saying these fascinating things. I know that I'm going to end up in India one day, and I've read books by Paramahansa Yogananda, and it's just I want to go there, and that's where a lot of this, like you said, the yoga and the meditation comes from. And yes, I want to go there. And go ahead. So.
India that I went to, I think, is a little bit lost relative. I haven't been back since that time, but it's changed a lot. When I was there, it was really, we were in remote places. It was really, really rugged, and I got to study yoga in Rishikesh and in various other ashrams around India. And I did a couple of intensives there, and it just continued to inspire me. And that's actually in the trip that I ended up hiking in Nepal, was at the end of that India trip. And when I came back, I decided that some kind of profession in this direction was where my heart really was. And so I started teaching yoga, and very soon, not that surprisingly, started attracting students in chronic pain, because they some people had heard, my mother's friends, people had heard that I had healed. And next thing I know, I'm teaching groups of people in chronic pain how to heal with yoga. And so that's sort of the beginning of how I started. And then I realized, well, these people have bigger problems than I really know how to help them with. So I went back and studied a kind of psychotherapy that's body-based through the yoga tradition. And that was the beginning of leading me to somatic therapy. Okay, wait, underneath this pain, there's emotions that these people could not process at the time that they happened.
Right. They didn't have the knowledge of how to interpret and process it. Yes, right. I understand.
The therapy that started to use yoga, supported yoga, very gentle things to bring, and a lot of love and just real presence to help people through the body come into what needed to be healed. So it's a totally different process than psychotherapy. which really you tell your story and over weeks, months, and years, the underside comes up. This is finding what is under, what ails you, or what limits you. It doesn't have to be that you're actually in pain. It could
Right,
be
right.
kind of in mind and not really living a fulfilled life. Underneath that is something that prevents you from living that, prevents you.
Right.
And that's
Hindering
been,
you. Yes.
that's been my journey to find out what's under. And it just I kept wanting to know more. So as I learned that and kept working with people, then I thought, well, there's still more that I don't know, because there's all this symptoms and sickness, and not all of that was moving with yoga. So that eventually I went back to school and became a homeopath.
Wow.
So I had medicine to give people in addition to, the meditation and the somatic process. And together, that was really working.
Amazing, because I'm just listening to how everything just continued to unfold and open up, and you found your true purpose. And like you said earlier, I want to rewind a little bit, that you left your job, and you left it because, I'm thinking, in my perspective, it wasn't fulfilling to you. I mean, maybe the finance was there, but you found something that, like you said, that you were overqualified for, but yet you found out that you resonated more with this, and it just kept, and just going through that door led to other things, and it just kept unfolding. And it's so beautiful that when you're following when we follow our passion, when we follow our true purpose, that things like that happen all the time. Things that you don't have to know everything all at once. Things will start happening and leading to, where you're meant to, to go. And that's just so beautiful, how that everything just opened up for you. And it's still opening up. It hasn't stopped. It's not stopped. You still have more work to do.
Yeah, I have a lot.
And the difference is, if I might say, the work is really not work. It's because it's something that you enjoy doing. So it's, a lot of people define work as something that you don't want to do, or something that's hard. No,
I love working.
Yes. See, exactly.
Yeah, I actually have a problem of working sometimes too much. And because I love what I do.
Right. And that's important, to have that passion, and that's going to make what you do all that more effective in regards to yourself and other people, because your heart and your soul is in it. So that's beautiful. So so you help people. So you work at this yoga studio, and what else do you do in regards to?
I haven't worked at a yoga studio in many years.
Okay, you don't work at the yoga studio. Okay, so
that was like 20 years ago.
Okay.
No, now actually, as you say, things keep unfolding. About 2 years ago, I did something that was a bit crazy, because I worked so hard and I love homeopathic medicine so much. But 2 years ago, I had this idea that there was so much I wanted to tell people. The people would come, and my patients would come. They would tell me things that are wrong with them, and it took the whole session to take their case, get enough. Homeopathy is very detailed. Find out enough about their life to give them a homeopathic remedy. It wasn't enough time in that hour that they would come for me to tell them, just guide them more on this process of how they could heal themselves, how they could really access what was under all those symptoms. And over the previous many years, I've been keeping these notebooks of all the things I wished I had time to tell people. They would leave and I would write some stuff down. Sometimes I would email them or refer them here or there, but it was in such snippets. And about 2 years ago, yes, it's 2 or 3, I'm losing track. It was about two years ago. Again, my body kind of screamed at me. When I really slowed down and really listened to what it was saying, I heard, those notebooks, it's time. Get out those notebooks.
Put those notebooks to use.
time. I kept saying, I have 3 kids. Like, I don't have time. How am I going to do anything with these notebooks? Eventually, another book. Okay, so there's books at critical junctures in my life. So since you're a book person, have you heard of the book The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks? You would like that book, The Big Leap. It's called
The Big Leap by who?
Gay Hendricks.
Dave Hendricks.
Gay Henrik.
Gay Hendricks.
I might be getting his last name slightly wrong. It's definitely Henrik, something like that.
Henrik. Okay.
So
The Big Leap. The Big Leap. I'll look that up. The Big Leap.
Yeah.
He was write that down.
He was talking about, some of what holds people back is they stay in their zone of excellence, things that they're good at, but they're not necessarily their zone of genius. And so it was this whole process of, I really loved homeopathy, but was it like the best? Is that what I was really best at? And anyway, I asked my office mate to cover my homeopathy practice. And I spent 2.5 months very full time with those notebooks, pouring it all into a course.
Wow.
I wanted to teach people that they could heal themselves.
Right.
How can you do that?
Right.
How do you combination of health psychology, like an understanding of the philosophy of disease, so that you don't feel like this has happened to you randomly. You understand something about how it happened. And then like the somatic tools, the embodied tools to take your casual meditation practice and actually make it into medicine.
Wow.
And
Wow. Yes, I meditate myself daily, but that's amazing. So you didn't know at the time when you were keeping these logs in this notebook that this was going to develop into this?
I had no idea. I just things I thought maybe I'll write a book, or I didn't know what I would do with it. I just thought, well, they're there.
You still may write a book.
I probably will.
Yes.
Probably will, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Yes. Yes.
One day.
Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. And you developed this program to help people. So how can people access this? How can they find out about this program that you put together for healing?
On my website, alyssacohen.com. They can find out about it there.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So how can I have all the links. So how can people find you? alyssacohen.com, and is there any other place too?
Oh, sure. I mean, social media,
right.
At Alyssa Cohen Healer.
But you have your own website that has all that there, and even the medicines as well.
Well, that's an interesting journey. That's an interesting turn. I had to make a difficult pivot, because what started to happen is as I started running that course,
right,
it was taking all my time, and I couldn't do both excellently.
Right.
So what I did, which was really hard because I really love homeopathy and I miss it very much, but I partnered up with some homeopaths that I know and trust. And they started doing homeopathy for the people in my course. And I was focused entirely on the somatic healing, which is something that I really love. And it's so creative and new. And everyone I meet is, has a bit of a different story and a different path for how to access what is it that they need in order to really heal. And so I've just become so fascinated by that it's kind of taken over. It's taken on a life of its own. And so last spring, I actually retired my homeopathy license, which my friends are like, what have you done? You worked so hard for that.
Yeah, what have you done? No, but you have to follow your own.
I feel like I use that knowledge every day.
Right.
It's a format right now.
Right. And I resonate with that because just like I have people, because my first love is creating music. And right now I can't give it the focus that, I like to focus when I'm involved in something. I like to give it my full attention. And I can balance things, but when it comes to my passions, I don't want to balance it. I want to focus and put all my energy in one place. So right now it's this show, this segment. And so that's, I've kind of pushed my music to the back until I get maybe a gap in there or something, or I just feel it, if I feel like, okay, well, I'm gonna put the show on hold for a bit and then I'll start music. But I don't want to, I don't have the desire to try to, okay, let me go over here. No, I'm in this mode now, talking with people mode right now. So
I totally get that. I mean, when we cut the pie into too many slices, then
right,
not enough of our energy goes into each one. It's hard to
right.
do each of them as well as would be optimal. So I respect that, and it's also like life is long. We don't have to do, just because this is what you're doing now, in 6 months, you could have a music intensive, and, there's everything is possible. It just has to be in the right time.
Absolutely. And you just follow your own inner voice, intuition, or your own passion. I mean, it's no one can do that for you. I mean, people can of course have their opinions or whatnot, but you have to follow what you're led to follow. And yes, so I get it. I mean, just like you said, your friends were like, what are you doing in regards to the medicine? But I mean, you have to follow your own bliss, and there's no really, I mean, there's no explanation needed. It's just, this is what I'm doing.
And when people start to heal, in order to heal, you have to listen to what your body is saying.
Right.
First,
Right.
it starts with, simple things like my body doesn't really like that food. My body doesn't feel so good when I do these things that I've been doing for years. And then
Right.
gradually we become more sensitive into feeling, things like you feeling like, you're feeling drawn to do this show. If you're not in shape and eating poorly and not sleeping and exhausted and irritable, you can't feel those kinds of things. You can't feel it because that's at a more sensitive level.
Right. Absolutely.
Our bodies and our minds through really getting more aware, paying more attention, and really listening to ourselves, then more possibilities.
You know what? You just said something that just opened up a whole, that we can have a conversation in itself, a whole show about itself. And I realized that too. In order to be really in tune and aligned and balanced, you have to have that eating right, physically, in shape, exercise, just everything has to align for you to, like you said, be in tune and sensitive enough to feel these things. It's beautiful. Yeah, what you just said.
I don't feel like it can show up a lot of different ways. We don't have to do it perfectly, but if we're eating, we nourish us.
Right.
If you're making fresh food daily and you're sitting and eating with presence, eating fresh food versus running to the fast food and eating on the go. Like just a simple thing. And I know modern life is busy, but everybody has to make their choices. But those are the kinds of things that are just the beginning of feeling good, right?
Exactly. When you feel good, and you're absolutely right, Alyssa. You're just, it starts there. If you think about it, because if you feel good and you look at yourself and I don't know how to explain it. But when you feel good, yeah, it starts from there, and then everything stimulates from there. When you're fueling yourself with healthy food, and you're doing something that's just helping you physically, and everything is aligning mentally, it just flows better, a lot better. So yeah,
I guess the challenge is, I see people who are trying really hard, but it's not working.
right.
They're doing so many things, so many good things.
Right.
They're not feeling as well as they wish to be, given how much effort they're putting into it.
Right.
That's where we need to do more exploration to see what's in the way.
Yes.
There's always it always makes sense. There's always something in the way, you know, it's never that health isn't possible.
Right.
It's just
But,
sometimes it's a
what
journey.
I've learned too is even just from you get to a point where you just start asking a lot of different questions, and from those questions, they start leading to different things. And then you start looking until you find answers that you resonate with or
Yeah,
that are helping you, you know?
resonate. It's resonate. I love that word, resonate. That
Right.
word so much in my world is how can we resonate with the parts of ourselves that, what can we do to really care for those parts of ourselves that are not in good balance?
Right.
What can we say? What can we do to help ourselves at that depth so that we can nurture ourselves back to, you know, the body and mind know how to come back to balance. This is something that is known. So if they're not coming back to balance, that's the real inquiry. It's like, what within me is needing more care than I currently know how to give myself?
Beautiful. Well, Kashmir, well, thank you very much just for all your energy and just your perspectives, and just I'm so thankful that we put this together the way we did. And I just spoke to you even days ago. I want to say this live. Um, and you were willing to, in a couple of days' notice, come on the show because I had this open up on Friday, today, and it's just by the time it's uploaded, it won't be the same day. But I just appreciate it, and I know it was everything is perfect, unfolding perfectly, because what you talked about today is what I needed to hear, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are watching this, that are going to watch it, that are going to attest to the same thing, and it's so beautiful. Thank you, Alyssa. And before we conclude this segment, are there any last anything else you would like to say? Any ideas? Any concluding?
I guess my only thing I'd like to say is I invite you to believe that more is possible. Wherever you are, more is possible for you.
Wow, I'm visualizing more as you're saying that. And if I might add, just you have a very soothing voice. So I could see you in the future. This is just me. You have to resonate with. I can see you doing some guided meditations or something online, just your voice, and uploading that to YouTube because
I have lots of guided meditations actually.
Oh, see, you see, now I didn't even know that. You see, I didn't even know that. And here we are. So
I'll give
yes,
you the link to some guided meditations.
yes.
But I can.
See, and I did not even know that. And see, you see how things unfold? You're already doing it. Beautiful. Thank you for being here, Alyssa. And wow, amazing. You're an amazing, extraordinary woman. Thank you very much. And I just appreciate you so much, and love and appreciation to you and everyone that's watching. Thank you for spending your time with us today, and just connect with her. To those of you, of us that just want to learn, and and connect with healing, look up what's your website again?
AlyssaCohen.com.
AlyssaCohen.com. Here on Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved. See you soon. Peace, love, and happiness to everyone. Thank you.